And welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm your host, Mike Page, continuing to bring you some of the day's biggest top stories and headlines. We want to take you now out to Massachusetts, getting an update from a story that we brought to you last Friday on the updates on the sinking of a fishing vessel called Lily Jean. Let's listen right now on Live Now from Fox.
Jack Clark, the Chief Administrative Officer of the City of Gloucester, representing the City of Gloucester. Vito Gigoloni, who is the government and policy person for the Northeast Seafood Coalition, and Gloucester Harbor Master Chris Lucido. As you know, this has been an extremely difficult situation over the last several days. And today, we reached another very difficult benchmark with the official release by the United States Coast Guard of the names of the crew of the Lily Jean. I will read from the list. I know that many of you have seen it, but I'll repeat it here again. And they are Accurcio Gus Sanfilippo, captain of the vessel; Paul Beal, Sr., member of the crew; Paul Beal, Jr., a member of the crew; John Rusinitis, a member of the crew; Freeman Short, a member of the crew; Sean Terrian, a member of the crew; and Jada Samet, a NOAA Fisheries observer and member of the crew. This confirmation is very difficult for all of us, and it's painful to read these names and think about what has transpired here. We remain extremely appreciative for the work of Coast Guard personnel who, in very difficult conditions, never stopped looking for the loved ones that we now mourn and who are presumed dead. In the wake of these events, Gloucester and its extended community will continue to stay strong. We'll draw on the strength of our legacy, we'll draw on the strength of our faith, and we'll draw on the strength of our community. And though this has been a crushing blow, we will continue to show that strength, because the families who continue to mourn these losses are counting on us for it, and it will be there. I'm going to have some more to say in just a couple of minutes about what's going to unfold on our end in the next several days. But before I do that, I want to turn over the microphone to Jack Clark on behalf of Mayor Lundberg and the City of Gloucester.
Thank you, Senator. It's only been, seems, hours since the tragedy unfolded with the loss of the vessel Lily Jean. But the City of Gloucester remains a community in mourning. There were 7 souls, but everyone knows each other, is related to each other, and the loss of one person is felt by everyone. We feel very, very deeply the pain of the families. I've spent the last 2 days holding their hands, informing them, talking with them, and it's not easy. But we are a tight-knit community with the nation's oldest seaport at 400 years. We've experienced tragedies at sea before. We will again, and it never gets easy. But we're a resilient and strong community, and we'll continue to work with the families and support each other. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jack. We also have with us our City Council President, Tony Gross, who is also a retired fisherman and brings an important perspective. Tony?
Hi, good afternoon. As we all know, this is an unspeakable tragedy. As Jack said, we've been with the families. It makes me very proud of our city. The demonstration of overwhelming support that we've given these families has been tremendous. The families have been very appreciative of it. There isn't a lot that you can do in these circumstances, but I believe Gloucester has done everything it possibly could to help ease the pain and make these people feel that they are part of our community, the ones that are not necessarily from Gloucester. And we've done the best that we possibly could. The fishing partnership was integral and very essential in giving us the support they needed. And so I just want to say that Gloucester has done a wonderful job of embracing and putting these people on our shoulders and helping them through this, while we all, through our shared experiences and our shared livelihoods, we all feel what this pain is and what this has happened. And unfortunately, this won't be the last time that this happens, but each time we will rise to the occasion.
Thank you, Tony. An active fisherman and the president of the Gloucester Fisheries Commission, Capt.
Hello, everyone. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone who's reached out up and down the coast. Everyone has been sending their love and support, and I'd just like to personally thank you. This is the worst nightmare come true. It's happened before, and it's happened again, and it's not unique to this community, but it's a tragedy that is still fresh, and this community is going to take a long time to heal. But this community is unique in a way that where a lot of different cultures who through the generations have molded into a very strong community. If you don't know somebody, you know somebody who knows that person. And the way this community has reacted through this is it's been incredible, and I'm very grateful to be part of it. And I want to thank everyone in this community. And being an active fisherman, it's not easy, but we all love it. And I truly believe that everyone on the Lily Jean, they whatever happened, they did it out of love, and they left this world doing what they loved. So I know the circumstances of some of the people on board may not have been from Gloucester, but coming from a commercial fisherman out of Gloucester, if you sail once out of this harbor or 1,000 times, you're a Gloucester fisherman. So they'll forever be Gloucester fishermen. Thank you.
Well, again, someone else who has been in the fishing industry for many years and who now guides policy discussion on behalf of the industry, the policy director of the Northeast Seafood Coalition, Vito Gigoloni.
Thanks, everyone. I'll be brief. I think it's actually good that we finally have all the names that we can publicly get out there instead of that happening on social media. We had good ideas who the folks were, and like Al said, I think it's important for those families. Some folks came from Virginia and had to drive because of the South Carolina blizzard that they were not able to fly out. And you could tell that salt of the earth kind of people, just wonderful people. To get to meet them and to see their composure, I can't even imagine. I'm guessing. I know the family of the Sanfilippos, of the captain and owner, in total shock right now. This is absolutely not the time for us to be able to start to reach out too much directly to them, because they're still dealing with this loss and the reality of it. And now it's all, it's all official and it's out there. And I want to echo what Al said about the pride in this community. They fish in federal waters. You fish on a Gloucester boat, and God forbid you lose your life at sea or forever, a Gloucester fisherman. And that's the best we can do for them, is to honor them and grieve for them. But there's going to be weeks ahead where this is going to fall out of the headlines, and it's not going to be, there'll be
other news stories to report on. But that's when the hard work's going to have to happen for us as a community. We want those victims to know, even though, or those lost souls and the families of them, when they go home, that, and some of them may have already done that, they're going to have their own services, and they'll be away from our community when that happens. I want them to know that we're still grieving for them, and we'll be there to support them. We have some really good nonprofit organizations in town that we're a part of, and we're going to do everything possible to let them know that we feel their pain, and we feel their pain forever. And we appreciate all this press and people actually getting an exposure to this. I want to leave it with, as a fisherman for many years, the activity of those vessels and that fleet of vessels is typical. It's like all of you do when you go to work every day. The weather conditions, everything about it, where they were fishing, is all about being precautionary. It's about vessels that normally fish 100 miles to 150 miles from shore in the off months, in the summer or spring or early fall, are now intentionally, in their older age now, their boats, they're fishing closer to home. So 40 to 60 miles is the standard winter fishing grounds. And winter means whatever winter brings you. If it was a gale warning or a storm, they're close enough to be striking distance to the port. So everything made sense of what they were doing. The loss just shocks us all that it happened so quickly. So let's be there. I've heard people say, why do they go fishing in that weather? Why do the electric company folks go up in the middle of a blizzard to turn the lights back on, right? That's what fishermen have every day, especially in the winter. So thank you again for being a part of this this tragedy and help us get through it.
Thank you, Vito. And we will have some time for questions before we wrap up. So now, with this grim news, this grim confirmation, we think about what comes next. Number one, what comes next is we'll do everything we can in our power to support the families and all of those that are affected by this loss. Number two, we'll do everything in our power to help them with all of the consequences of that loss in so many ways. And number three, and this isn't for today, but it's for tomorrow, and the day after that, and the day after that, is we'll do the very best we can to understand what happened in this unthinkable tragedy and do everything within our power to prevent it from happening again. We're dealing with the forces of nature. We will never be able to say that it won't happen again. But when we go to sleep at night, what we want to be able to say is we did everything in our power to minimize that chance. For right now, the Northeast District of the United States Coast Guard will begin a formal investigation of this incident. It will be led by personnel from the Northeast District. They will be assisted by personnel from the National Transportation Safety Board. If that determination leads to a recommendation, there will be a further, larger investigation. But right now, it's too soon to tell. Right now, Fishing Partnership Support Services is providing all of the supports that these families need. They have an office here in Gloucester. They've had personnel here for the last several days. They are providing counseling. They are providing hotel rooms for those that are not from this area, that are here as family members or to support family members. They're providing transportation. They're providing food. They are embracing these families and providing them with whatever they need. I want to read a statement We've been in touch this morning with J.J. Bartlett, who is the president of Fishing Partnership Support Services, and Dan Orchard, who is the vice president of Fishing Partnership Support Services. And they want to remind us not only of their role here, but the fact that fishing is a dangerous business. And there have already been losses this year and in recent weeks and months. The statement is as follows. Fishing Partnership was created by the fishing community to provide services to fishing families throughout their lives, including terrible moments like this. They will continue to help the grieving families with counselors, connections to emergency financial assistance, and long-term recovery. As support is coming in from all over the country, we want to acknowledge that we are the only fishing community. We are not the only one grieving losses in New England right now. Martha's Vineyard in Massachusetts and Stonington, Connecticut lost beloved fishermen in January as well. And fishing communities in Maine suffered terrible losses as well last year. And there's more as we look back each year. We know that each time this happens, it opens up new pain. We have to pledge to improve the lives of those that provide for us. They continue. There's also been an outpouring of support from people that want to donate. And this is very important because we've all been hearing those requests. And right now, the Fishing Partnership Support Services is the one charity that we're going to identify because they are providing the services directly to these families. And we'll be providing after this availability the information for them to be able to contact them. Many of you already have it, but we'd appreciate it if you'd share it for us. In addition, there will inevitably be other charitable ventures that will initiate. We are not prepared to comment on those right now. But we are anticipating that the City of Gloucester on its webpage will list those as they become available and confirmed. And we'll also be posting them on my social media. And we deeply appreciate all of the outreach that we've had. So many people saying, how do we contribute? How do we help? And we want them to know that that's very much appreciated and that we will do everything we can to facilitate those contributions and to make sure that they get to the right place. I also want to ask a favor of all of you. In this instance already, there has been way too much speculation about a variety of things. We have worked hard to provide you with accurate information as quickly as we have it and can responsibly give it to you. We ask you not to fuel or engage in that speculation, particularly with regard to those who have been lost and are presumed dead. That official information, beyond what we've been able to share today, will come from the United States Coast Guard and will come from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. Please do not engage in speculation of the nature that we've been seeing on social media. It does not help. It is harmful to the families, and it tears at the fabric of our community. Lastly, just want to say that there's a superlative that we use for those that go to sea out of this port. The ones that we hold up high, the ones that we honor, the ones whose legacy we treasure, whether they came from Gloucester or not, whether they came from Massachusetts or not. They left this port and followed in the history of this incredible seaport that has written so much of the history of commercial fishing in the United States. We call those people the finest kind. And these 7 were the finest kind. I'd be happy to open up for a couple of questions if you have them.
Are any changes being made to anyone who's fishing moving forward in the next couple of days? I know not about the recommendations on the investigation, but right now.
So, Kim, not officially. Obviously, everybody who is fishing out of this port and other ports in New England is paying attention to what's happened here. And I would defer to Vito and Al, but I will say this. Everyone's going to make sure that the watchstander's watching. Everyone's going to make sure they're looking for the formation of ice. Everyone's going to pay attention to the fact that they have safety equipment and they know how to use it. And everyone's going to be thinking just a little bit harder about making sure that the boat and the crew comes home. And I defer to you guys if you want to add to that.
Honestly, like I had said when I first addressed you folks, is there was nothing atypical or anomalous about that trip. They were doing exactly what we've done for 50 years anyway of the modern trawl era. Right-sized boats to fish even further if they wanted to. The weather forecast was not the kind of forecast that you end a productive trip, and not the kind of forecast that would prevent you from starting another. So the rest of the fleet, they heard what was going on. They came and helped search the area, and they went back out and finished their trip. They've got 5 men on the boat, depending on a living, right? It's a 12-month business. So really nothing's going to change. We've talked to enough of those guys, and everyone would have a speculation, but no one would know what they would do different or what could have happened. Nobody. And like the senator says, we have to not speculate and defer to the experts. What's really unfortunate and not out of the ordinary in these kind of sinkings, we've had multiple sinkings where all hands lost, no radio communication at the very last minute, nobody alive to say, oh no, it wasn't that, it was this. So it's just unfair, right, to everyone involved, the folks that were lost, feeling like, did someone do something wrong? I think we've all talked about the track record of Gus Sanfilippo, the captain, has been impeccable. He's very risk averse. He's not the kind of guy that, I know it's going to blow, but my boat can handle it. Nope, we're going home. Family man, clean as a whistle, loved by everyone, including his crew. And from what we've heard from folks that have lost people and they're there and from out of town, they had nothing but respect as well. So I think that's the kind of speculation that we want to hold back from. And sometimes people just flap and want to talk for the sake of talking, which I'm not doing right now. I'm just saying, to start to speculate, it makes no sense at all. So many things can happen on a vessel, winter or summer. We've had summer sinkings like that where, oh my God, no, not even a word on the radio and just a debris field. And that's what we have. So thank you. Nothing's changing in the fleet right now.
Al? Also like to add to that a little bit. Before a vessel leaves dock, it needs a Coast Guard inspection decal. In order to carry an observer, you need that decal, and you need all your safety equipment up to date. And when you actually get the decal, they're checking bilge alarms, they're checking pumps, they're checking everything, and so everything is up. And in addition to that, on every observed trip, the observer will conduct a safety check before the boat leaves the dock. And if the observer deems the boat not to be safe or not have any piece of safety equipment that's not up to date, if something is expired by 1 day, that observer will shut that trip down. And and then repeating what Vito said, Gus was he was on top of everything. The Lily Jean and my boat are docked at the same dock, and always aboard the boat. Never took the cheap way out when it came to maintenance. Always made sure everything was in tip-top shape. So, again, very unfortunate what happened. There's no way that we can speculate anything, because we know, myself and Vito in particular know that boat was one of the best kept boats in the fleet. So anything you hear out there of this or that, it's just pure speculation. And in respect to the 7 souls lost, let's make sure we get hard information before we start putting anything out there.
So
Thank you.
Privately owned boat left for as far as the fishing fleet in Gloucester?
Could you repeat that, please?
Was that the only privately owned fishing boat of that kind?
No. What's unique to Gloucester is, especially in the groundfish fleet and in the lobster fleet, is that we are mostly owner-operators in Gloucester. Whereas you get to other ports, you see fleets of boats owned by one owner and having skippers. Gus owned the boat and he worked the boat. I own my boat, I skipper my boat. And that's basically 95% of our fleet in Gloucester is that way.
Senator, have you been given any timeline from the Coast Guard for the actual recovery of the Lily Jean?
No. And that is the recovery of a sunken fishing vessel is an extraordinary undertaking, particularly when it's in 350 to 400 feet of water. And I would not want to create an expectation that it will ever be brought to the surface. There are active discussions going on between folks in the Commonwealth of Massachusetts and the Coast Guard and others about what those steps might include. But I would not want to give anyone the impression that it is a given that the boat will be recovered. The likelihood is that it will not be brought to the surface. But as part of the ongoing investigations, there will be data gathering and there may be other forms of looking at its condition and trying to understand it better. Yes?
My question was going to be about the challenges and limitations of the search, for the Coast Guard. So, yeah, I think you addressed that, but if there's anything else related to that.
No, I would just again reiterate that this vessel is in deep water, and trying to gather any information about it is a challenge that should not be taken lightly and will not be taken lightly. But I will leave further comment on that to those who are actually pursuing the investigation. I do want to take a moment to thank Governor Healy and Lieutenant Governor Driscoll for their extraordinary support for us. They have been here physically, they have been here emotionally with us, and they have committed the resources of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts to the further investigation, and those resources may well be important as we move forward. It's too soon to speak about that today, but I will commit to you that as we have more information that we can responsibly convey, we will convey it to you in one way or another. Yep.
Did a Mayday call go out, and if not, do you know when or what the last radio communication was?
Sure. So we know that there was no distress call recorded by the Coast Guard. We know that the Coast Guard became aware of this situation when an emergency positioning radio beacon was triggered and sent a signal. Relative to radio communications, I do not have good information that I can share with you. I know that there has been reported communications with other skippers that were out fishing, and I think that's important. And Vito referenced that earlier, that it's not an extraordinary situation to have folks out fishing this time of year and in this weather. And there were other vessels, and there may have been communications between them, but I'm not prepared or qualified to report on those communications.
Can you just talk about the parameters of when a fishing fleet can go out? Like, are there certain times where the fishing vessels can't go out to open water? And no, so they can go out whenever?
Yeah, it's still...
Yeah, please.
So that is something that it's a myth now. The old system was you fished on days at sea. It was an effort-controlled system. You only had so many days. If you caught too much fish, you could only bring in so much and throw the rest over. That was all ended in 2010. So we've been fishing under a total allowable catch, that whatever you catch is 100% counted against the quota, and when the quota is caught, it goes out. In return for that, there are closed areas, but there's plenty of room and flexibility for fishermen not inshore fishermen, have some inshore closures that actually shuts them down for a month or two here and there. But this fleet is pretty much has 12 months accessibility and can go anytime they want. Their limitation is quota.
For those with a fishing background, if you can kind of just speak on, obviously this is a sobering reminder for everyone that gets in the boat and leaves port. Is that something that you always know, leaving the harbor, that this is a possibility? And if you could kind of speak on that fisherman mindset a little bit. And obviously this is, tragic, but it is something that we've seen before. And
Why don't we,
goes through your head when you leave port.
why don't we start with Al and then we'll go to Vito?
So, I mean, I'm a day fisherman, so I leave early in the morning and come back in the afternoon, and there's never a doubt in my mind that I'm coming back. Because if there was one little doubt, I would never leave. And that's the attitude you have to have. It's the same thing when you jump in your car and you got to commute 30 minutes. You say, will I get into an accident or not? You don't. It's just not there, And I grew up on the water, and I'm confident in my abilities on the water, just like everyone else is confident in their abilities and what they do. So that's, overall, your risks in everyday life. We know our risks in the fishing industry, but it's not something that consumes us. It's a way of life that's different. I understand that. And some people, I've taken people in the middle of the summer, I want to go fishing for a day, and they're like, I don't know how you do this. And I said, you should come out in January. And then it's a totally different situation. But to me, it's just natural. So we don't think about not coming back. We don't think about breakdowns. We don't think about, not catching fish. You have to be positive. And so I don't think there's a fisherman in the world who leaves the dock fearing not coming back.
Vito, you want to add to that?
As we had said, the fishing quotas basically dictate almost the size of the fleet and the effort of the fleet. 10 years ago, we were 25,000 days at sea among the fleet being used. Every 24 hours we're being tracked is counted as a fleet. We're operating at about 6,000 to 8,000 days at sea now because of a shrunken fleet. And when you look at it that way, these guys are still running the same amount of days at sea that they always ran. Your exposure, they're back out right now. The same boats that were grieving with us last night, they got to shut that off. I was in contracting for a while, and if you're a roofer, somebody fell off a roof every day, and that's the end. If you think about that, as soon as you put your foot on the ladder, it's time to get out. You can't do that, right? It's not being cocky. This is the life of firefighters, policemen, everyone that has a potential risk, and that's what fishermen are. They're not cowboys. They're not out there gambling with their lives. They're not. Because out of the thousands of trips that are conducted every year, this is one day that went bad for a Gloucester vessel. So it's not something that, 1 out of 5 chance you're going to get in trouble. That's why this is hurts so much. Yeah.
Senator, will you be identifying the soul whose body was recovered?
I will not, Kim. That is not for me to do. That will likely come from the Office of the Chief Medical Examiner of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. And I want to stress that none of us should be speculating about that identity. It is irresponsible to do so, and it is hurtful to the families. And so we will leave that to the folks that are qualified to make that pronouncement. And when we have that information, if you need it from us, we will provide it to you. But it needs to come from them first. Yeah.
It's my understanding, and as you all have said today, that both Gus's family and the Bealses have a long history of fishing in this community. I was wondering if any of you could speak about the legacy that they leave behind.
It's a deep question. I'll start, and then I'll hand it off to anybody else who wants to say anything. So Gus was a personal friend. He was one of the people that I look to in this harbor as the very best of what we've offered to the nation since Gloucester started as a port 400 years ago. He was professional. He was hardworking. He cared about his crew. He did everything he could to make sure that his vessel was in the best shape and poised to harvest the best catch. He made sound decisions. He based them on good information. And on a personal level, he was the kind of guy you wanted to see walking down the street. Big smile, friendly, was actively involved in the dory races that we conduct every year with our sister city in Lunenburg. Always a part of the community. Just had a big smile. One I'll never forget, and one we always wanted to see. It's the finest kind. Yes,
I would too. The legacy of both families, the Beals and the Sanfilippos, Gus's dad, Nino, still with us today. Can only imagine once this sinks in for him how terrible that's going to be. But he followed in the footsteps of his dad, Gus did. And he was a highline, Nino was a highline fisherman. He co-owned the boat with his brother, Gus Sanfilippo. These names tend to be passed down generations. So he fished for probably 45 years, the father. And I'm sure when they emigrated from Sicily, there were fishermen when they were there, if they were old enough, or they come from families of fishermen. So fishing has been in the Sanfilippo family forever. Same with the Beals. The Beals is a big fishing name. You hear it all the time up in Maine. They actually have boats that are built by a Beal. You know, that's the name of the boat. So it's a legacy name. And he's got a brother that's a fisherman. It's still active today. An older brother. So those two families are absolutely etched in centuries, or at least multiple generations of fishing. Yep.
Alan, anything to add? Just one quick thing. Speaking about the Sanfilippo family, if there was a fishing hall of fame, they would be in it. Gus's father and my father grew up together in Sicily. They fished there. Their fathers fished there. I don't even know how many generations it goes back. And when both our fathers immigrated here, we fished on our father's boats when we were kids, and we continued on, and we fished side by side, and we were at the same dock, and we grew up together, and that is about as deep into fishing as you can get. So he's going to...
All right, a very hard time for the community of Gloucester, including the fishing community, no doubt, as we learn the names of the 7 crew members of the Lily Jean.